doing? Uh-oh, I forgot to do this over here. What are you guys doing? Are you guys all having a great Monday? Hi, Amy. I got to get this going. Hey, you. Hang on a second. I'm a little early because I got to get this all situated. Uh-oh. What's going on here? Boom, boom, boom. And apparently we're live on Facebook right now too. We're getting ready to be live. Oh, what happened? What happened? I'm trying to go live on Instagram too, but I am not certain what just happened. Instagram. Hey, Willie. Hey, Tim. Hi, Ginger. Hey, Karen. I don't know what's going on here with the Instagram. Well, I have to use this. Oh, wait. No. I don't know if this is going to work. Nope. No. All right. Well, I guess we're not going live on Instagram. Hi, Ladonna. Hurler. Hello, Loved Well Vintage. All right. Are you guys ready? This is Vintage Rescue Squad. I'm going to bring on my guest here in just a moment. Y'all don't know who that is. Some of you might have guessed. Hey, Logan. Hey, Jason and Tina. Hey, Fat Birds. Hey, Nancy. Oh, hi, Heidi. Heidi's sitting right next to Tim. Well, Jason, let me just tell you too before I bring on my very special guest is that, tomorrow is the Tuesday night quickies. So we're doing that tomorrow night, up all night long. It's the parade. I started off at 5:00. Tiny Treasures is what I'm going to be offering. But Wednesday night is the co-hosting parade. So we're trying that out over here on Vamp. And I'm co-selling with Jason from Mother Tucker Antiques. You heard about them. And I'm selling ladies and I'm selling ladies and boys. But behind me, I got my catalog locked and loaded. And I've got vintage angels, girls, Florence, one Christmas angel. I've got a mermaid. She'll hug your candles. So I've got several things in there. I've got some Florence. I've got some Ceramic Art Studios. I've got some Norcrest. I got some Cupies. I got a lot of left in. So go check those out if you are interested in those sorts of things. And then Thursday night is starting at 5 p.m. is the retro roundup. And I'm working on my catalog for that. But I've got Figment. I've got Pound Puppies. I've got Koosas. I've got Trolls. I've got like all kinds of things from the 80s, 70s, 80s, and 90s. So that's going to be a lot of fun. That's another parade that's going on this week. So a lot of stuff going on. But today, I'm not trying to sell you anything right now other than your attention. Hey, damn it, Janet. I know. I get so many compliments on this. I don't remember where I got it from. One of the online places that I do clothes for. Now, I haven't yet decided how often I'm going to be doing Vintage Rescue Squad. It's definitely going to be at least once a month. But I talk about all the time how I'm trying to find some sort of balance, but yet I keep adding more things to my plate. But I love having these chats with you, and Vintage Rescue Squad is something that I miss it. But anyway, I'm going to bring on my very special guest. I love this person so much, and this person is my best friend. I love this person. I don't know if you guys can guess. Maybe you can guess, but I don't know. While you're guessing, I'm gonna bring him on. Let's see if I can remember how to do this live. Hang on, because I'm typing and I can't. Wait, whoops! I did the wrong thing. Hang on, cancel. hang on. Oh, way down here. Way down here. Oh my gosh. You guys, you all are, no,
Hi.
you already know. Now, I want to say too, the man of mystery, or the voice of Oz, as he's been referred to. I was
Ooh.
actually the voice of Oz today for mid-century Fat Bird Wasted.
Fat Bird Wasted. That is a really cute name. I love
Wasn't
that.
that fun? That was a lot of fun.
Yes.
So this is Michael's first time trying out the co-host feature, and it is something that is new. So you're going to be seeing some co-hosting going on. Mid-Century Wasted and Fatbird Finds did it earlier today, and it was a lot of fun. And I want to say it is Wasted Fatbirds. It is definitely a way, and I think, and I want to say this to sellers too. It is okay when you're selling live that you are trying to figure things out. Honestly, I
Mhm.
cannot tell you that the people that are in this community, for the 99.9% that attend the sales, are very, very accommodating, and it's okay to talk yourself through things. I do it
Mhm.
all the time. It's something new. It's a new process, and I think that that's kind of how we get our brains to learn new things, is to just gradually figure it out, and you end up figuring it out, and it can be really scary at first, but we end up figuring it out. So if you're just watching for the first time and you've not attended a sale, this isn't a sale, even though I got things loaded in my buy it now. If you want to go in and buy something, you can. Michael, in that since you're live right now, at this point when I'm talking, you can add things to your buy it now. But you can't do that until you've gone live. So you
I got it.
you couldn't have prepared your things in advance. Only the host can do that. So at any time he can add things to his buy it now as well. But if you tap on Michael's photo, everyone try this right now. Tap Michael's face and it'll make him big. Michael, you won't be able to do it. You won't be. Now, if you're watching Michael on your laptop as well, you can do it. So then touch me. Touch me. Touch me right now. Touch my little box. Oh gosh. We're going to
Shouldn't we
say
be
that I
making money
did
from
not say
this? All
that
this
just now.
touching going on. I should have loaded that into the buy it now.
We're not.
$5
Yeah,
touches, boys and girls.
no,
$5.
we're not. We're not
But
going to.
only
We're
from
never
here
not going
out.
to say that.
That's $5.
I'm not going to tell you about my bachelorette party, the shirt that I
Feet are
wore.
10. Feet are
We won't
$10.
talk about that. Yeah. Okay. So, thank you, Susan. She's hugging us both in the nicest way. We appreciate that. All right. So, we only have until 5 o'clock because we are going to be rating the next sellers for the Monday Night Madness, and I cannot, for the life of me right now, which I can never. Okay, we're going to be rating Blue Mountains Boho, so that's who we're going to be rating
Ooh.
at 5 o'clock. So it's going to be great. So if you are a seller on Vamp, just consider doing this co-hosting thing, or watch some. It'll take you a few times to figure out the whole nuances behind the whole thing, but once you get going, just like with any other sale, it'll be second nature, down pat. And before we get started on our chat, I just wanted to tell you that tomorrow at 1 p.m. Eastern, Michael and I have a sale every Tuesday, 1 p.m. Eastern, over on my YouTube channel. And so if you want to see any of the previews from those sales, make sure that you're checking out both Michael and both of our Instagram. And I thought I loaded a short on YouTube, but I haven't, but I will. But the best way to look at what we're going to be bringing is over on Instagram or
I thought
in
you
the
did load a
community.
short.
Did you?
Or,
I uploaded it as a draft, but I haven't,
oh.
done that yet. I've been listing my ladies, trying to list my ladies all afternoon.
Ladies.
Anyway, what we wanted to talk about a little bit about reselling. You know that over the past several years, Live selling has been more and more popular. I started doing live sales right before the pandemic, like right after I closed my brick and mortar and I had all this inventory right before the pandemic, like in December before the pandemic. I think that's when I had my very first live sale, and I was like, I have all this stuff. I'm gonna try it and see how it goes. And it went horribly. I mean, I sold, like, there were maybe 5 people there, and at that time, I used to tell people, oh, wait, Denise says I applied for Vamp, going on, no positive or negative. Well, Denise, Magical Emporium, I have that one time we had over 800 applications. I'm now going at over 700 applications. What I would say, Denise, is send me a message through Vamp or send me an email and say, hey, will you check out my application? As long as you have some links, or you say, hey, I'm just starting out on reselling, you let me know, yada, yada, yada. Fill out those things. If you have done that, then just say, hey, can you check out my application? There's a lot to have to go through, and right now it's just me doing it, so it's a lot to have to go through. So send me a message again if you're wanting to be a seller on Vamp. And sometimes I will say, sometimes people have gone into the chat and be like, hey, I submitted my application such and such and such, and at that time I go in and I look at their application and I'm like, oh, okay, and I add them to the list. So never ever ever hesitate about asking, sending a message, sending a direct message, or even asking in the chat, hey, I submitted my application X amount of times or months ago, waiting to hear something. But just know that it is, I personally vet every single seller that comes on to Vamp. So one person doing that, or even 2 people, when Michael and I were doing it together, it's a lot. It's very, very time consuming. And I got to manage my own sales and my own business and my own bottom line. Trying to do all of this stuff can get a little overwhelming. So I know that it seems like a long time ago, but make sure that you filled out the application fully with links, with that kind of stuff. So, oh, look at Rebel Junk with all her all those on there. Okay, so going back to reselling, when it first began, at that time too, I was saying, hey, the first person to send me an email can claim this item, not thinking that people can just claim it in the chat, and then it evolved. And live sales in general have evolved throughout the years, and there's been different platforms and different ways of doing it. We used to never do anything auction style. It was always a quick claim. We'd give you a number. I mean, things have changed. So thank you, Amy. 712 applications and growing. We probably get 10 new applications a day. So it can be a little overwhelming, but just know that, send a message and be like, hey, can you check on my application? Also, I want to say too, a lot of times I will send out invitations to the onboarding, because you have to attend an onboarding to sell on Vamp. And Michael knows, because Michael and I were doing this together. We'd send out 60 applications sometimes,
60.
And 20 people would show up to the onboarding. So it's kind of like, okay, well, you applied to sell, and we send you an invitation. All you got to do is click on the link, reserve your spot, and that's all you have to do, and then you're good. But that's still happening. So all I can say is, if you're filling out an application and you get an email, check your spam, check all your emails to make sure that you are accepting the spot. Because then after the onboarding, I physically go and I email every single person that didn't show up and ask them, hey, that takes a lot of time. So it could be very time consuming, is what I'm trying to say. To try to get something going, it can be very, very time consuming. All right. I'm sorry. I keep getting distracted by that. But so what I wanted to know in the chat, and I was talking to Michael a little bit about this too, is you remember, if you were attending live sales way back a long time ago, versus now, and how they've changed and how they've evolved a little bit. What do you remember as a buyer from the early days of live selling, or as a seller from the early days of live selling, that you were like, man, I wish it was like that again? I mean, other than there are, when during the pandemic, I'm just going to say this. I mean, the pandemic was a horrible thing. I'm glad that we're past it, and I'm glad that we don't, hopefully won't have to be there again. It was a very scary time. But when I had 2,500 square feet chock full of inventory and nobody could go anywhere, it was great. That was a great, if you have a brick and mortar, you know that you had to pivot, you know, you had to pivot. And I know, touch me, Ginger. Now touch Michael. Now touch me. Now touch Michael. You had to pivot. And I think that we still have to do that. Michael, what Michael, during the early days of live selling, when we first started, kind of doing this in the vintage community, Michael was a buyer. And that's how we met. He was a buyer, and we just started talking, and then just, we just started talking and never stopped. We never stopped. So what are some things, Michael, that you, as a consumer, what
Okay.
did you kind of miss about those days versus now?
I mean, I would, ooh, I guess there are a number of things, and anything that I have to contribute towards that conversation as, a consumer or a buyer, I think could certainly, and I think justifiably, and I do want to say that I want to preface what I'm about to say with that. I understand how it would be a valid point to be like, I'm just saying that because now I'm a reseller.
Right.
But,
It can
and
give
it
you
is what it is.
perspective.
And there's nothing that I can do to offset that. I mean, fair and valid point. I guess for me, and I think that the most substantial change is the frequency to which live sales occur. And I think that that's there's one thing in retail, and I think that when you come at it from more than just a reseller's standpoint and you think about it in bigger picture terms so far as
Yeah.
retail, is that oftentimes what happens is, and there have been a number of psychological studies done in this for retail establishments, is that when an individual walks into a store and it is jam packed floor to ceiling, we are only able to psychologically absorb 30% of what we are seeing, and we become overwhelmed
Yeah.
psychologically. We become overwhelmed with the choices. And what a lot of people do, and I am in this camp, truth be told, is that when I feel like there's too much going on, when there's too many choices, I have a tendency to tune it out. I think
Yeah.
at one point, no, I don't think. I sincerely believe that when live sales first started, there was this novelty to it. It was new, it was exciting, it was something really different. And I think that it happened definitely during a time when it was so desperately needed, when people, as you said, were locked up, literally. Well, I mean, I guess not literally locked. Well, some of you might have been. I don't know. But when people could not literally go out and shop, and
Yeah.
there was a lot of downtime for a lot of people, so the live sales, it was literally lightning in a bottle. It was the right moment during a
Yeah.
very difficult time, and there were so few options with which to go to that it really kind of created an environment, and I think a picture when it comes to reselling, that, oh my gosh, that's so exciting. And I will say, from a reseller standpoint, I think a lot of people saw it as an opportunity, and rightfully so,
Yeah.
as an opportunity to make money for themselves. And they were like, I want a piece of that pie. But like with any pie, it can only serve so many people. And
Right.
I miss, I'm going to put a pin in it and go back to but all of that said, I miss the simplicity of it. I miss not feeling overwhelmed.
Yes.
It it is that kind of, I don't know if that's crazy or whatnot, but I'm like, oh
No.
my gosh, there's another live sale. Oh my god. And it's just like, ugh, it takes away that specialness to it. It takes away, I think, the I don't exclusivity, I don't think is the right word because it's
Well,
accessible to anybody, but it just it feels rebranded and rebranded and rebranded and rebranded and rebranded, and it's just so it doesn't seem to hold that same specialness anymore.
yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, I agree with you. I do. I agree with you on that. I mean, it does. I mean, there was a time that it is way oversaturated. It really is. And that's the thing, though, too, is, and I get a lot, trust me, and I get a lot of heat, not heat, but I get a lot of, well, Misty, because, and I always have been a proponent of anybody can do this. You can try it. Anybody can do this. You can give it a try.
Um,
Anybody can do it. Anybody can do it. And I, trying to encourage other people. I mean, Michael is someone
mhm.
definitely. I encouraged him to do it, and it can be a life changing thing for you. I know that it has been for me. Um, and I wanted to see that for other people as well. Now, I've created competition for myself, absolutely. But the way that I look at it, there is enough stuff. There is enough stuff out there for everybody to go hunt and find. However, with there being so many people trying to do this, that causes the price of things to go up. So people think it is getting harder and harder to find things that any seller can bring to a live sale. Any reseller is trying to spend as little as they can and maximize their profit as much as possible. I mean, that's just reselling 101. That's not just reselling, secondhand items. That's reselling brand new Walmart. You're trying to make the most money out of such little, a little profit. And it's getting it's getting a lot harder. It's getting a lot harder to do that. And I think that you're right too. Amy, or Jamie said, the more live sellers and the more competition, it pushes us to be innovative and make things better and better. I agree with that. I do agree with that.
Well, and I am gonna be devil's advocate. No, I don't think that I'm gonna be devil's advocate. I'm actually gonna share a different perspective. And
Okay.
I think that a lot of times that word, I'm pointing at it because it's right there on my screen. But the word competition can have a lot of negative
Yes.
connotations to
I
it.
don't see
And
it
I
as
think that
negative
at the
thing,
end of the
but
day, like if we look at, let's say, the Olympics, since it's going on
ugh,
right now, is that you obviously have a sport and you've got a variety of different of well, you don't have a variety, but you have a specific sport. So what is it? I don't
gymnastics.
know. Gymnastics, okay? So you've got all of these gymnasts that are coming in across the world, right? At the end of the day, they are in competition with one another because there is a goal, and the goal is to be the best, right? Um,
Yeah, that's a good analogy.
However, there exists within that, and this is unlike business. So I don't know how fair of an analogy the Olympics are, but there are certain rules and guidelines, there are parameters that ensure that individuals are conducting themselves in a sportsman-like way, right? It's
Yeah,
still a competition, but
right.
there's a certain set of rules and guidelines, and this is how, if you're going to participate in this program, this is how you're going to conduct yourself. And that doesn't necessarily exist in business. And that's not just in live selling, but that is in the business world at large. And I do, at the end of the day, um, Misty and I are, if you fundamentally, when you look at it from a business, we fundamentally, from a business standpoint, are in competition with one another because while there may be enough things to purchase for all of the different live sellers, what I am seeing is that there are not enough buyers to support the amount of resellers that there are, because resellers across all platforms are growing exponentially. But I'm seeing, okay, this is an opinion, okay? But with a lot of the resellers, I see little to no effort going into building a brand and building their own audience. And it's all about cannibalizing. And or I should say, about trying to capture the same set eyes from other resellers. So it does become very gray. And it leads into that sense of oversaturation. And I think that it does lead a lot of people in this sense of, well, dang, times used to be different. Well, look at the things that used to be different. There weren't as many people doing it. It
Yeah.
was super novel. You had more buyers, viewers, than you did sellers, so it was able to support it. But as more people have gotten onto it, it has really it's really buttered the bread pretty thin. It has. I mean,
Yeah. I mean, I mean, you're
an
right.
opinion, an opinion.
Nope, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. I got to turn that off. I don't know why I did that. I absolutely agree with you. And it is a lot more work. I agree with that too. It's a lot more work than what people realize too. And the thing of it is, and I agree with you too about the whole, you know, people think that you can just go on, you're like, "Oh, guess what? I'm going to have a live sale. I'm just going to pop on, I'm going to sell live and
Hmm.
it's going to be good and I'm going to sell it all." And it isn't like that. I mean, that just isn't the case. I mean, I still I make reels, I take photographs of the things that I'm bringing to a live sale, to promote that live sale, putting it on YouTube, putting it on Instagram, putting it on TikTok every single week for every single sale. It's a lot of work. And I mean, even like little things like, what kind of music do I want to play with this reel? And what, I mean, there's so many things that add into it. And then, you're taking the pictures, you're doing, and then once the sale is over, you're doing the shipping, you're answering the emails, you're sending out, that's the wonderful thing about selling on Vamp, is that you don't have to send like payment reminders and you don't have to wait for someone's information and yada, yada, yada. You can, it's all automated for you, but it's a lot more work to get people in the door. And then, but once you've gotten, you know, and you stay consistent, and that's the biggest thing that and I know Michael agrees with me on this, is you have to be consistent. Michael
Hmm.
and I have had a sale on Tuesday for the past 4 years, every single Tuesday without fail. Now, I cannot tell you, I cannot count on one hand how many times I have missed a Tuesday sale. I've done them sick. I've done them
Hmm.
where I've like had to be like, I'll be right back, Michael. And I mean, you have to stay consistent and consistently do it week after week after week. And it just is, it's your job. I mean, with any job that you do, no matter where you're working, you have a certain thing that you have to do in order to make that job function and to make
You have
that,
to have a work ethic.
you have, right. And that's just part of it.
Hmm.
Yeah, well, the videos that, and I know that a lot of people are, it absolutely 100%, 100,000 times percent does make a difference if you do have social media. It does. If you're, but that also takes time as well. I
Hmm.
mean, I posted daily content for a year before I was monetized, and that has changed a lot since then. It's much easier, I think, now to get monetized than what it used to be. I didn't think I was ever gonna get monetized. I didn't think it was ever gonna happen. But you put all this work into it, and then you get monetized, all right, and then you're putting out more work, and then but then you're like, and then what? What's next? So I think that we're constantly on this perpetual hamster wheel, that we're selling these things. There's only so much stuff out there that we can find, because it's getting much harder to
Hmm.
find these really really good things. And hi Christine, I was talking to Enamor Amy about this earlier. She was showing me the incredible things that she got at the yard sale this past weekend. Michael went one day and he's like, "That's hot as hell." It's a lot of work. She did it for 4 days straight.
Yeah,
She
no.
found amazing things,
Mhm.
but that is a lot of work, and that's a lot of mileage. It's a lot of gas. It's a lot of getting in and getting out, being sweaty, being hot, dealing with people. It's much, much harder than just going into an antique store or going into a thrift store, pulling something off the shelf, and then taking it and wiping it off, cleaning it, and showing it for your sale. It's a lot of work. And yeah, Aaron was out there too. It's getting really, really hard. And I know, Michael, you go to yard sales, especially during those ones that you guys have gone to, and they got eBay prices on things at a
Mhm.
yard sale. So whatever, but sell it on eBay. Don't
Well,
get
no,
eBay.
and that's no. I'm gonna no. I'm sorry, but I will die on that hill if I need to die on that hill. And I don't. I asked her before, and I'm gonna use the analogy again because Cindy, whom I went with, Cindy from Mimi's Treasure Cottage,
Mm-hmm.
we were talking, and she had an absolutely amazing analogy, and it was
That's a
again the
great
selling
analogy.
of the Lamborghini. If I
Yep.
have a Lamborghini for sale and I want to get top dollar for it, I don't bring it to a yard sale.
Nope.
I don't bring it to a garage sale. I don't put that in the thrift
You take it to
store. You,
Meekum.
you take it to where you need to take it. And
Right.
that's, I guess that's kind of, and I am gonna push back on that. Is that, and I agree. Look, we live in a country where we can do what we want to do.
Yeah.
So there's no harm, there's no foul in that. But it is frustrating, especially when you do it for a living, that when you walk into a yard sale and they want what it sells for on eBay, there is an issue with that because it's like you want the most for doing the least amount of work. And I don't know if I'm cutting the nose off to spite my face or if I'm on like some high horse moral
I
thing
don't
or
think
whatever, but
so.
I'm like, no, man, like you put it out here on a table and you put sells for on. No, clean it off, take the photos, do your listing and get it on eBay. And there's nothing wrong with that. And
No,
I guess
absolutely
and
not.
there do that. I
My thing
encourage
is
you
like
to
if
do
they're
that. But no, it's not cool that you're like, well, somebody sells that. Yeah, somebody sells that on eBay because there are
well,
literally
but here's the
millions of
thing of it
eyes
is
across the world looking at it. So those
it,
things command a higher price, not here in the middle of nowhere in Ohio at a yard sale in your garage.
yeah.
No.
Well, the thing of it is like as long as it has taken them to print off that paper and do that search, and the majority of the time they're doing it through a Google image search, which brings up listed, not sold. If you do a Google image search and it brings up eBay listings, those are active listed eBay. That's not what they have sold for. So they could be all over the place as far as prices go. So you really have to look at the sold comps to get like what's the fair market value right now, because we all know that the fair
Hmm.
market value changes every day.
Hmm.
I don't. I was talking to Michael about there's something weird going on in the world, in the atmosphere, because it is very hard to know what exactly are people wanting
Oh yeah.
right now. There's just something kind of odd going on that we don't really know. We're trying to find the things. And I mean, I'll be honest, there have been times that, after we've had a Tuesday sale, Michael and I, when we're done, we're both like, that was rough. That was rough. It used to not be that way. And it is. I mean, that's just the honest to goodness part of it.
Hmm.
So it's kind of twofold going into those things. I mean, it's a lot of work, and sometimes you feel like you're constantly just spinning your wheels because there is a lot of that competition out there. I don't necessarily see it, as a bad thing. I mean, back in the early days of YouTube live sales, if you had a sale the same time somebody else had a sale, oh, it was on. And people were mad and like, how dare you have a sale when I'm having a sale? It's not like that anymore. It
Mhm.
really is not like that anymore. You
Well,
can have a
because
sale.
when isn't somebody having a sale? I mean, like
Exactly.
true tea.
Exactly. And honestly, I mean, I get a lot of flack from Vamp sellers that aren't live sellers. And they're like, what about us over here? We're not selling live. All this attention is for live sales. What about us over here?
Mhm.
But the thing of it is, what you don't understand is that someone's having a live sale, they're going to be looking at the marketplace. So they may go in and browse a non live seller's booth. So the more lives that are going on, that gets people in the door, so to speak. So there's all kinds of different working things to it. If you see someone's going to have a live and you're not a live seller and you're just selling statically, then maybe, make sure that some of your things are showing up in the just listed. So end
Mhm.
things and then restart them again. Make sure that things are getting I mean, I know a lot of you will do like multi-day auctions just to get, seen, which I think is a good idea as well. um and so there's just a lot of variables to it, and I think you're right. The economy, yeah. It's an election year, yeah. And I think I was having a conversation with a lot of different people, and collectively this is kind of what everybody was thinking is, we talked about the pandemic. The pandemic, thank God, is over. People are out and about. They're going on vacations. The travel industry has grown exponentially because people are not, they're out, they're traveling. They're not scared to travel, and they're doing that. And so I think that can trickle down to people at least during the summer. They're not online, shopping at a live sale because they're out
Mhm.
living, you know and that's kind of the thing too, that as a live seller, sometimes you see people and you're like, they're there every single week. God love them. They are buying something every single week. But at the same time, you're just like, go live a little. I want you to be at every single sale, but as a reseller, as a seller in general, or in sales at general, you're trying to always bring in new viewers, new customers, and you don't want to constantly cater to the same four sellers or say four
Mhm.
buyers, even though we love our regulars. Absolutely.
Well, that's not. Listen, just that's it's like again having that friend or that family, and you're
Right.
constantly asking that friend and that family to help you. And I that it's I do want to touch on this quickly because I saw some people were bringing it up earlier, and I think
Hmm.
that actually goes to the point of I noted people were saying, well, I go for the personality, I go for the individual, I do it because I support the person behind it. Oh shoot! It just kind of slipped right out of my head. What were we talking about?
Oh, sober. Oh, I don't know. I was reading through comments
Um,
that I missed.
it just went right out of my head.
Are
I
you
don't
talking
know.
about, because I had seen talks, Ladonna was talking about Whatnot, and I
Well,
has us
yeah,
kind
I
of
did
like
see
changed
that.
things.
I I'm just gonna, you know what? I'm gonna come out and say it right out the gate because I
Everyone
forgot
tap on Michael.
what
Everyone
else
tap
I
on
was
Michael to
saying.
help him.
I'm not gonna roast Ladonna at all. As a matter of fact, Ladonna, sister friend, you and I are in the same boat, rowing in the same direction. You know, again, I think that whatnot was. It's interesting. It's really a mixed bag, and I'm going to say this is that I think that as a small business, the first and foremost thing that you need to do, and this is something that I don't whether it's the personal confidence or it's the small business acumen, is that you have got to have the confidence first and foremost in who you are as a person and also knowing your worth as a brand. Because at the end of the day, there are a number of different platforms and more will be coming out. And I've seen there's like a payment processor on
Yep.
Instagram There
Yeah.
will be more
Yep.
platforms that come out that
There will be.
try to actually benefit financially from the work that I do as an individual, that Misty does as an individual, and what better way to generate a company and to generate revenue is to try to capitalize off of a group of people. Live selling is amazing, it
Hey,
is
Mike.
great. And then when you can be incentivized that, well, now you don't have to do at this like invoicing. Now you don't have to email somebody. And for not having to do that, you're going to have to pay, right?
Yeah.
Which I guess that's a choice that everybody has to make. But to like Ladonna's point, one, I was like, I just, this environment doesn't seem right for
You
me as
never
an
were.
individual. No, I
He
never
Michael
was.
was
I never came
never
out and said
sold on
it,
one
but
line.
I will come out and say it now, is that I have always considered, and there were personal, I shouldn't say personal, there were professional things that, quite frankly, I did not agree with out the gate.
Yeah.
Um, there were things, there were videos, there was, my work was utilized to sell that platform. And again, this was before
Without your
Whatnot became
permission.
Whatnot, and it was used without my permission, and it was used in a way in which made it seem that I was promoting the platform, and I wasn't. That dead full stop. I remember that. I was done. I was
He was
out.
done.
I
He
was livid, and trust and believe, I wrote a couple of emails
he did.
in no
He did.
uncertain terms that made my stance on that perfectly and crystal clear. Um, the other thing, and again to Ladonna's point, is that, and I did not like it, was this, and again because I do come from a sales background as a retailer in background, is that essentially what is happening is that you're trying to attract an audience, and the way in which you're trying to incentivize your audience to use this platform is not just in brand or name recognition. So, in other words, you've got these resellers that you know and you love. So, clearly, you're going to go over and you're going to use
Yeah.
this platform. But hey, guess what? When you're on this platform, everything starts at $1 and
No.
there's free stuff out there because what you're doing
Never.
is you're creating a perception. And the perception is that you can come here and get stuff for free, or you can get it really cheap. Now, here's the deal for an individual business, and this is where having the confidence in yourself and the acumen to understand what is happening is so important. Because to a company that is profiting off of a number of thousands of individuals, it doesn't matter if your stuff's selling for $1. They don't care because they're collecting it off of it. And the way that they generate it is not through the quality, but through the quantity of the sales. So whether you sell stuff for $1 or whether you sell it for 100, they're going to try to get as many people on that platform as possible, right, as sellers. And then they
Yeah.
try to incentivize the buyers by saying you can get stuff here cheap and for free. But that is taking money out of your pocket, and you're also paying a platform to host that for you.
Well,
It was
and
insane to me. Like,
the platform is paying content creators to have sales. They're signing contracts for content creators to have sales, and they're paying them
thousands of
thousands of
dollars.
dollars to have a sale. So there's just a lot of things that I didn't like, and I was just like, no. Michael he was done way before I was. I was still, yes, thousands of dollars they're paying content creators to have sales and they were trying to peg me and I'm not gonna lie, I did get a payment. I For 1 month they did pay me to have one
Mhm.
sale a week for 1 month, which I was already doing anyway. And then they wanted me to have three and then four. And I was like, no, I can't, I'm not doing that. I can't do that. I can't physically cannot do that. So I was done. I was done.
And
Um,
that, just to clarify though, because I see shop the vintage shop said, aren't they also paying for their inventory? I don't know that they're paying for their inventory, but when I
they'll
was
pay for their
still there,
giveaways. They pay for their
yeah.
giveaways.
So like literally the stuff that a lot of, and I shouldn't say this. Keep in mind, a lot of these deals were only available to certain resellers, and those certain resellers are the ones that have a social media following. So
Yeah.
it's not like every reseller on Whatnot was getting paid to do a live sale, because there was no benefit to pay every reseller on Whatnot. It People were paid because there was an established, and respectfully, and like that's I certainly, at least there's that there are people that had a social media following that Whatnot could financially benefit from. And the only way to really incentivize an established reseller who was used to selling things for at or above retail, when the platform had built a reputation for dollar starts, selling things cheap, giving stuff away, was to actually supplement that by giving the seller a paycheck. So you had a guarantee of payment regardless of what your item sold for. And then, hey, if you do a giveaway, we're going to give you either a weekly or a monthly allotment to be able
Yeah.
to do that, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there, and that's one thing that when district approached me, golly, I need to find that email to find out exactly when it was, but it was, gosh, well over a year ago. I mean, well over a year ago.
Yeah.
And I talked to Michael about it first because I was just like, I just don't want to do something like that again, and for it to be like a Whatnot all
Mhm.
over again. And these are all things that I had brought up to district. They're not running their business that way. They're not.
Mhm.
They are not paying their
Now,
sellers to sell. They are not. They
mm,
may be. I don't blame them. They're knocking on the door, so to speak, of content creators and asking them if they want to try out this platform, which I think is great. But they are not paying. They're not paying their marketplace owners to have sales on there at all. It is a lot of work. It is. I, I I mean, Michael knows. I mean, Michael and I started Vamp. Michael had to take a step down because it's a lot of work. It is a
mhm.
lot of work to maintain, it's a lot of work. That's all I can say. It's a lot of work. But I fully believe in it, and I believe in District. I think that they are a wonderful platform. They listen. I have meetings with them every week. So there are a lot of things that I have learned over my years of reselling live, and just reselling in general, that you learn from each experience. And sometimes when you do learn from bad things, you try not to make that same mistake again. That's not to say that, you know, I people won't make other bad decisions, but not everybody learns from their mistakes, I guess you could say. And I think that
Mhm.
everything that you go through, you've got to learn through what worked and what didn't. But it's I just can't. The support here is just incredible. It really, really is.
Mhm.
But it is a lot. It's a lot. It's a lot of work to be a marketplace owner. So it isn't just, hey, I'm going to start a marketplace and I'm going to get these people to sell underneath me and I'm going to get a
Mhm.
commission off of all their sales and it's just going to be passive income. It is not like that. It is not like that.
Mhm.
I mean, I do it all by myself. I don't have anybody else that's doing this. I do have Michael is an admin, and so is Jamie, Mid Century Wasted. So is Jay, and so is Enamor
Amy.
Amy, Jamie, and Jay. And they help me out a lot with, you know, things that need to be brought to my attention. But
Mhm. I
it
and
sounds like
I do want to say
prostitution.
this really
Where?
clearly, is that, at the end of the day, everybody has a choice to make. And that's, again, one of the important things for me about wanting to do the live conversations. And I know Misty, with
Mm-hmm.
bringing back the Vintage Rescue Squad. And I think that there have been a lot of conversations that have needed to be had, But at the end of the day, it's like you don't want to be that person that's, oh, they're just starting drama, and oh, they're just da 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 da. And I guess that's a perspective. And I can't say that I'm not going to sit here and try to argue or invalidate somebody else's opinion, their perspective.
Right.
But that said, respectfully, it is an opinion at the end of the day.
Sure.
It doesn't mean that you're
Absolutely.
right. And I think that, with the conversations and wanting to be clear is that, and I had touched on this during a live sale when I kind of went off the rails, is it's just like that is certainly a
Oh, remember
perspective.
that
And I
one?
guess
Remember that? You remember
if
that?
your intention is there, then that is what it is.
Yeah.
But sometimes speaking the truth about something is just that, speaking the truth about something. And if it makes somebody feel a certain way, or it puts somebody in a bad position, or all of these different things, it's just kind of like, yeah, but what about the people that are actually supporting us? Don't we act, and that was like that's my big thing, is it's just like, we're all out here not saying this, not saying that, because it's like we can't, because we don't want to start drama. And it's just like, all right, whoa, 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 what about the people that have supported all of us, that have
Right.
actually given us, any of us, the ability to actually have a selling platform, to have a YouTube channel? What about those folks? Those are the
Yeah.
folks that we need to be protecting. Those are the folks that we need to say, hey, so that you're aware. And I think that it is so much more important, given the world that we are living in, especially when we look at, and I'm going to say this again, the economy, and not the stock market, but the you and me economy,
Yeah.
the going to the grocery store, the going to the gas store, that
Yeah.
economy, that it is so much more important that people that are in a position, that do have a platform, begin to actually speak to the people that have provided them that. And it's by allowing those individuals, and no, not allowing, but giving them the respect, by giving them the truth, so that people can make more critical decisions based on
Well,
the picture. It's like there is such this picture, and then there's the reality behind the picture, and it's just like, eh,
they're not matching up.
they don't match up. And it's just like, yeah, but you got folks over here spending the money, and it's real difficult, but this is what's really going on. And don't nobody want to say that, because we're all more concerned about, and I think that this is something I miss, to go back to. It seemed that at some point, that it wasn't just live selling. It was like there was people out there that, yeah, they were selling stuff, but the feeling of it was different. It was like they were giving me something. And I'm talking about this as a consumer, that I was entertained, that, yeah, there was stuff there for sale. I could buy it, or I didn't. And and at some
Yes.
point, it all became so incredibly transactional. Everything is about money. And it's just like, there's nothing wrong with that,
Exactly.
but there is such an insincerity behind it. Just say you want money. Just say I want money. Yo, I want money. And I want
Well,
as
I mean,
much
I
money
think
as I
that,
can get. But I am not willing to be inauthentic in order to get it.
yeah.
That's a
Yeah.
big difference. It used to feel more like a community.
Yes.
It was always very welcoming. It was never exclusatory. It wasn't a clique. It was just people that came together because they liked vintage and antiques. And then at some point, it just made this turn, and all of a sudden, it's just like,
I think it's because it got to be so competitive. I think it got to be because there were so many people doing it that everyone was just
yes,
kind of
bug.
going through the moments, you
Yes,
know.
bug.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, and Bug, what you said, you can want money and still respect your buyers. The thing of it is that there are a lot of things that go along with that, in my opinion. In my opinion, for me, the whole aspect of if someone purchases something from me, and I know Michael feels the exact same way, they're getting like, I'm going to make sure that it is shipped the next day or the day after that. Like within a business day, it's
No, we're
shipped.
not.
It's packaged well. When you open a box for me, you know it's for me. It's the whole, that means so much to me. And I know that it's frivolous to some people. Like, why are you taking the time to do that? That means something to me for my buyers. And I don't know. I mean, it honestly, it makes it more fun for me for shipping to like put a bow on it. And I know that it all cuts into your bottom line. I'm well aware that that does take away some of your profits. And honestly, there are plenty of times that I have sold something. I sold something last week for less than what I paid for it. That's just the hard truth to it. We buy things sometimes because we're like, that's gonna get people in, and it does, and people like to see like some of the things, but sometimes you're selling it for close to or less than what you paid for it, and that does sting. It really, really does. But it happens. It does happen.
I'm just reading the comments. So, I am Eileen, I promise. I am. Misty keeps telling me.
What?
I need to go get my stuff.
Pumpkin man.
Yes,
Oh,
there's a
yeah.
pumpkin man.
Wait, we got to talk about that, Michael.
I know. I need to go.
You're supposed to come back here and spend some time with me. Anyway, we'll talk about that later.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, so the whole community aspect really does mean a lot. And honestly, and I know that I can speak for probably every reseller out there, no matter who they are, is that you do see some people that come into your sales and it makes you feel like you're with friends. You see people and they may not buy anything, which is totally fine. You see people every week and you just see them there and you're like, oh, I feel safe and secure because I see some familiar faces. We obviously want to see new people coming in too, but it does very much make you feel a little bit more comfort and at ease to see people coming in that you're used to seeing every single week. So, I mean, it really does make a difference, but we and that's why, like Michael and I have had lots of discussions about this, about trying to find that balance and trying to, you're doing X, Y, and Z. You're trying to maintain your personal life and you're trying to maintain your business life and you're trying to maintain everything else that's going on in your life. And there are different aspects in your life that are just as important as the next. You got to make a living. You have to earn money to make a living. That's just as important as or not just as important, but I mean, you also have your family time too, which is just as important. And so coming up with that balance, and honestly, as a YouTube creator, you feel like, well, if I don't put out a video, they're going to forget about me. If I don't do a sale, then they're going to move on to somebody else. It's the whole, and I've talked to several people that are also content creators, and we've had this discussion. It's like a mind trip. You're constantly wrestling with the things that make no sense, that really are out there. No one else is thinking it, but you maybe are thinking it. And you are like, nobody, everyone's going to forget about me if I don't do a live or if I don't do a sale, and I'm just kind of going into that I'm like throwing out the window of me doing a scheduled whatever every week on YouTube. I got videos and I'm going to get them edited and then they're going to go that pressure that we put on ourselves is going to make us crazy because you're trying to live up to an expectation that you cannot possibly maintain forever. So it's just coming up and finding that balance. I agree, Quail. I love the hi Daphne. I love the chats and Michael's Friday nights. And then I have to say, two ladies that just every single week they do make you feel like you are in their community. You're having fun. It's not all transactional. Sure, they have things for sale, but you are there having fun, and that is flipping and sipping. Fatbird Finds do an amazing job every Friday night, 9 p.m. right after Michael is making everybody just it's just a hangout time. And
Well,
sure, they have some things for sale, but you're just immersed in this community. It's a lovely, lovely thing that happens every Friday night.
and I think that that's, I saw Jamie's comment earlier, and I think that that's, and even the thing that I said about everything becoming so transactional. The thing with me is, like, on Wednesday, when I was doing the Wednesday solo sale, is
Yeah.
is that for me, I very much felt there was a space to create an environment that was, in fact, more sales focused, because there was at one point, and this is interesting because the trends change, right? And you have got to be aware, especially on social media, where people are going and what they're looking for and what they're done with. And it seemed at one time there was such a concentration on the entertainment aspect of a live sale. For me, it just was like, all right, well, if I'm gonna be on camera, and this was especially once I went full time. And you have to understand, my full time looks different maybe than somebody else's full time. And full time traditionally looks different than somebody who is doing it as a side hustle or passive income, where
Yeah.
you can focus more on the entertainment, and
Mm-hmm.
that is a luxury. It is a luxury to be able to get on and be entertaining and be engaging, because you don't have the pressure of having to make X amount of dollars because you got bills due. It
Everybody
becomes
has
a
bills.
different
That's the
story.
thing.
That luxury of being
You,
entertaining all of the time and silly and goofy,
you
that
know,
gets pulled from you once there's a tremendous amount of responsibility and expectation.
yeah.
So it
And
was just, go ahead.
well, I was just gonna say, I mean, you see some people when, especially when things aren't selling, they're like, "Does anybody want this? I really need the money. I need the money." Well, hell, who the hell doesn't?
Hmm.
Everybody. That's what everybody needs money to live off of, and I mean, that's just you gotta. It's tough, and you've got to bring things that people cannot just go into any thrift store and find. You've got
Hmm.
to find things and bring things to your sales that people that are desirable for people, and they can't just go into any thrift store and find. And that's getting harder to do. It's getting much harder to do. It really, really is. So, well, we are at 4:59. Dang
Oh
it.
shoot, we gotta go. There ain't none of it. We gotta go,
No,
yo.
I know. We got to go. We're going to raid another seller. So listen, we are going to do this again. So just kind of put a pin in there, but I want to tell you really, really quick. Friday night, 7 p.m. over on the Cult of Vintage's YouTube channel is more talks just like this every
The
Friday night.
real deal.
The real deal. Yes. So just know that I'll be there Friday night. Y'all come over there Friday night.
Where are you
I'm
touching
still
me,
trying to
Susan?
figure out
Where?
what I want to do with
Ah,
Vintage Rescue Squad. And if I'm going to do it
thank
every
you.
week, I might. I don't know. I kind of like this. I like it, like it, like it. Yeah, this Friday is going to go deep, he said. Everybody wear your raincoats and your galoshes. But
You're gonna need to put on your scuba gear. Cause
scuba gear.
listen,
We're
I'm
going
gonna come
real
with it.
deep.
I said somebody got to start. For me, I just feel like somebody got to start. Telling y'all what's going on so that you can make better decisions. And we're gonna do that this week. The
It's going
reality versus the picture.
It's
Like,
true. It's true. All right, guys. Thank you again so, so much. We're going to hop on over to a live sell on Vamp, the Monday Night Madness train. So please head on over to these wonderful, great, trusted Vamp sellers that have all been personally vetted between Michael and I. So make sure that you go and check them out. Thank you guys all again, and stay tuned for the next Vintage Rescue Squad. Bye, guys.
bye everyone. Do I do anything or you guys?
Nope.
Okay. Okay.